Have you ever felt a strange connection to a place you've never been? Or maybe you've had a skill that came naturally, as if you'd done it 1,000 times before. These feelings might not be just random. They could be clues to a past you don't remember, a past life. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of reincarnation and uncovering the hidden signs that you might be carrying memories from another time. Reincarnation isn't just a far-out idea. It's a belief held by millions around the world. The idea is simple. When we die, our soul moves on to another body, starting a new life. But here's the interesting part. Sometimes, little pieces of our past lives stick with us. These pieces show up in funny ways, like having dreams about places we've never seen or feeling scared of things for no clear reason. In this video, we're going to explore 8 signs that might mean you're a reincarnated soul. These signs aren't just made up. They come from years of research and countless stories from people who believe they've lived before. And don't worry, we're not going to get too complicated. We'll keep things simple and easy to understand. But we're not stopping there. By the end of this video, I'll share a simple exercise with you. This exercise might help you connect with your past lives, if you have them. It's something you can try at home, and who knows? You might uncover some surprising things about yourself. So, are you ready to dive into the mysterious world of past lives? Let's start with the first sign that you might be a reincarnated soul. You're walking down a street in a city you've never visited before. Suddenly, you stop. Everything around you feels familiar. The old brick building on the corner, the smell of fresh bread from the bakery, even the sound of the local language. It all feels like you've been here before. But you know you haven't. This strange feeling is what we call déjà vu. Déjà vu is a French term that means already seen. It's that weird feeling when you're sure you've experienced something before, even though you know you haven't. It's like your brain is playing a trick on you, making you feel like you're reliving a moment. But what if it's not a trick? What if that feeling of familiarity is actually a memory? Not a memory from this life, but from a past one. People who believe in reincarnation often point to déjà vu as a sign of past lives. They think these moments of recognition might be little glimpses into our previous existences. It's like your soul remembers something your mind has forgotten. Déjà vu can happen anywhere and at any time. Maybe you meet someone new and you feel like you've known them forever. Or you might visit a foreign country and feel strangely at home. These experiences can be short and subtle, or they can be strong enough to stop you in your tracks. One person shared a story about visiting Rome for the first time. As soon as they stepped into the Colosseum, they were hit with an overwhelming sense of familiarity. They could almost hear the roar of the ancient crowd and feel the heat of the sun on the stone seats. It felt more like a homecoming than a first-time visit. Another common déjà vu experience is with skills or knowledge. You might try something new, like playing an instrument or speaking a foreign language, and find that it comes naturally to you. It's as if your hands or your tongue remember what your mind doesn't. But here's the thing about déjà vu. It's not proof of reincarnation. Scientists have their own explanations for why we experience these feelings. Some think it might be a glitch in how our brains process memories. Others suggest it could be related to how we perceive time. Whether déjà vu is a glimpse of a past life or just a quirk of the brain, it's a fascinating experience. It reminds us that there's still so much we don't understand about our minds and our existence. So, the next time you experience déjà vu, pay attention. Where are you? What are you doing? How does it make you feel? You might want to keep a journal of these experiences. Over time, you might notice patterns or connections that could give you more insight into these strange moments of recognition. Remember, though, that déjà vu alone doesn't mean you're definitely a reincarnated soul. It's just one possible sign. As we go through the other signs in this video, you might start to see a bigger picture forming. We all have things we're afraid of. Some people can't stand the sight of spiders. Others get nervous in small spaces. But what about fears that don't make any sense? Fears of things you've never experienced in this life? These unexplained fears or phobias could be another sign that you're a reincarnated soul. Let's talk about what we mean by unexplained fears. These are strong, sometimes overwhelming feelings of fear or discomfort that don't have any clear cause in your current life. Maybe you're terrified of water, even though you've never had a bad experience with it. Or perhaps the thought of getting on a plane fills you with dread, even though you've never flown before. People who believe in reincarnation think these fears might be echoes from past lives. The idea is that if you died in a traumatic way in a previous life, the memory of that event might stick with your soul. Even though your current mind doesn't remember, your soul does. And that memory shows up as an unexplained fear. Here's an example. There's a story of a young boy who was deathly afraid of loud noises, especially ones that sounded like explosions. His parents couldn't figure out why. The boy had never been in any situation involving explosions or loud bangs. But under hypnosis, a kind of guided relaxation that some people use to access memories, the boy described a past life as a soldier who died in an explosion. While we can't prove this story is true, it's the kind of experience that makes people wonder about reincarnation. Another common unexplained fear is of drowning. Some people have an intense fear of water or of having their head submerged, even if they've never had a near-drowning experience. In the context of reincarnation, this might be explained by a past life that ended in drowning. It's important to note that not all fears come from traumatic past life experiences. Sometimes, fears can be learned or passed down through families. And of course, some fears are just natural human instincts that help keep us safe. But if you have a strong fear that you can't explain, it might be worth exploring. Ask yourself, when did this fear start? Can you remember a time when you weren't afraid? Is there anything in your current life that could explain this fear? How does this fear affect your daily life? Do you have any recurring nightmares related to this fear? Understanding your fears, whether they're from this life or a past one, can help you deal with them better. Some people find that just considering the possibility of a past life connection can lessen the power of the fear. Of course, if you have fears that are seriously affecting your life, it's always a good idea to talk to a professional. A therapist or counselor can help you work through your fears, no matter where they come from. Remember, having unexplained fears doesn't automatically mean you're a reincarnated soul. But if you have fears that don't make sense in the context of your current life, it could be a clue. As we continue through the other signs, you might start to see more connections. Dreams are mysterious things. They can be wild and fantastical, or they can feel as real as your waking life. But what about dreams that keep coming back, night after night? Dreams that feel more like memories than imagination? These recurring dreams could be another sign that you're a reincarnated soul. When we talk about recurring dreams, we're not just talking about common dream themes like falling or being chased. We're talking about specific, detailed dreams that repeat over time. These dreams might involve places you've never been, people you've never met, or experiences you've never had in this life. People who believe in reincarnation think these recurring dreams might be memories from past lives bubbling up in your subconscious. While your waking mind might not remember your past lives, your dreaming mind might be able to access these old memories. Time period dreams. Some people have recurring dreams where they're living in a different time period. Maybe you keep dreaming about life in ancient Rome or as a pioneer in the Old West. These dreams often come with a strong sense of belonging to that time and place. Different identity dreams. In these dreams, you might be a completely different person. You might have a different name, speak a different language, or have a different family. These dreams often feel very real and detailed. Historical event dreams. Some people dream about being part of major historical events. Maybe you keep dreaming about fighting in a specific battle or living through a famous disaster. These dreams might include details about the event that you don't consciously know. Skill or talent dreams. In these dreams, you might find yourself doing something you can't do in your waking life. Maybe you're fluently speaking a language you don't know, or playing a musical instrument you've never learned. Death dreams. While they can be scary, recurring dreams about dying in a specific way could be related to how you died in a past life. These dreams often come with strong emotions and vivid details. One interesting story is about a woman who had recurring dreams about living in a big house with a red door. In the dreams, she knew every room of the house and felt a strong sense of home. Years later, She visited a small town she'd never been to before and saw the exact house from her dreams. The experience was so strong that she felt she must have lived there in a past life. Another person shared that they kept dreaming about being a sailor on an old wooden ship. The dreams were incredibly detailed, down to the smell of the sea and the feel of the ropes in their hands. This person had never been sailing in their current life, but found that when they eventually tried it, everything felt familiar. If you think you might be having past life dreams, here are some things to pay attention to. Consistency. Do the same elements, people, or places show up in multiple dreams? Details. Are your dreams unusually detailed? Do you notice specific clothes, objects, or environments? Emotions. How do you feel in these dreams? Do you have a strong sense of belonging or familiarity? Frequency. How often do these dreams occur? Do they happen more at certain times or in certain situations? Keeping a dream journal can be really helpful. Write down your dreams as soon as you wake up, before the details fade. Over time, you might start to see patterns or connections you didn't notice before. It's worth noting that while recurring dreams can be fascinating, they're not always pleasant. Some people have recurring nightmares that they believe are related to traumatic past life experiences. If you're having disturbing dreams that are affecting your daily life, it might be helpful to talk to a therapist or a dream specialist. Also, remember that not all recurring dreams are necessarily past life memories. Our dreams can be influenced by many things: our daily experiences, our fears and hopes, things we've read or watched, and more. Some psychologists think recurring dreams might be our mind's way of working through current life issues or unresolved emotions. Whether or not you believe in reincarnation, paying attention to your dreams can be a powerful tool for self-discovery. They can reveal parts of ourselves we might not be aware of in our waking life. They can help us process emotions and experiences. And who knows, they might just give us a glimpse into lives we've lived before. As we move on to the next signs of being a reincarnated soul, keep your dreams in mind. You might start to see connections between your dreams and other experiences in your life. Remember, the journey of self-discovery is a personal one. Trust your instincts and stay open to the possibilities. Have you ever wondered about that odd birthmark on your skin? The one that doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason? Well, in the world of reincarnation beliefs, those unique marks might be more than just random skin pigmentations. They could be physical reminders of your past lives. Birthmarks are those colored spots on our skin that we're born with. Most of the time, they're just harmless quirks of nature. But some people believe that certain birthmarks, especially unusual ones, might be connected to injuries or wounds from a previous life. This idea isn't just a modern New Age concept. It's actually an ancient belief found in many cultures around the world. In some parts of India, for example, birthmarks are seen as clues to how a person died in their last life. So, what kind of birthmarks might be significant? Well, it's not just about the everyday freckles or moles. We're talking about more distinctive marks. Maybe you have a large, oddly shaped birthmark that looks like a scar. Or perhaps you have a birthmark in an unusual place, like the sole of your foot or the palm of your hand. Some people report having birthmarks that match family stories about ancestors. For instance, there's a tale of a young boy who was born with a red mark on his forehead. His family had a story about a great-grandfather who died from a bullet wound to the head, in the exact same spot as the boy's birthmark. Another interesting case is about identical twins who were born with birthmarks in the same spots where their older brother, who had passed away before they were born, had moles. The family saw this as a sign that their son had come back as twins. Of course, these stories are anecdotal, and there's no scientific proof that birthmarks are linked to past lives. But for many people, these marks are a source of curiosity and wonder. If you're interested in exploring this idea, here are a few things you might want to consider. Location. Where is your birthmark? Is it in an unusual spot? Shape. Does your birthmark have a distinctive shape? Does it look like anything in particular? Family history. Are there any family stories about ancestors that might connect to your birthmark? Feelings. Do you have any strong feelings or sensations associated with your birthmark? It's important to remember that while birthmarks can be interesting to think about in terms of past lives, They're also just a natural part of human variation. Whether or not they're connected to reincarnation, they make each of us unique. Also, if you have any birthmarks that change in size, shape, or color, it's always a good idea to have them checked by a doctor. Your health and safety in this life should always come first. Have you ever just known something without knowing how you knew it? That's intuition, that gut feeling or inner voice that guides us. And if your intuition seems unusually strong, it might be another sign that you're a reincarnated soul. Intuition is often described as a kind of inner wisdom. It's those hunches or gut feelings that pop into our minds, sometimes without any clear reason. We all have intuition to some degree, but some people seem to have a stronger connection to this inner guidance system than others. In the context of reincarnation, a strong intuition is sometimes seen as accumulated wisdom from past lives. The idea is that even if your conscious mind doesn't remember your previous existences, your soul carries the lessons and experiences from those lives. This deep well of knowledge shows up as intuitive insights, knowing things without being told. You might find that you often know things about people or situations without anyone telling you. Maybe you can sense when a friend is upset before they say anything, or you have a feeling about how a situation will turn out. Making good decisions quickly, people with strong intuition often make decisions easily, trusting their gut feelings. They might not always be able to explain why they made a choice, but it often turns out to be the right one. Sensing energy. Some people with strong intuition say they can feel the energy of places or people. They might walk into a room and immediately sense the mood, or meet someone new and get a clear feeling about them right away. Prophetic dreams or visions. While not everyone with strong intuition experiences this, some people report having dreams or visions that later come true. Natural problem-solving abilities. You might find that solutions to problems just come to you, as if you're tapping into a source of knowledge beyond your current life experiences. One interesting story is about a woman who always had a strong intuition about health issues. She could often sense when something was wrong with her body or with others, even before any symptoms showed up. Later in life, she discovered that in several of her past life regressions, a technique used to explore supposed past lives, she had been a healer or doctor. Another person shared how their intuition guided them to their life's passion. They always felt drawn to the ocean, even though they grew up far inland. Following this intuitive pull, they eventually became a marine biologist. In exploring past life possibilities, they had visions of many lives spent near or on the sea. If you think you might have a strong intuition, here are some ways to explore and develop it. Pay attention. Start noticing those gut feelings or sudden insights. Keep a journal of your intuitive hits and see how often they turn out to be right. Meditate. Regular meditation can help quiet the chatter of your mind and make it easier to hear your intuition. Trust yourself. Often, our logical mind tries to override our intuition. Practice trusting those gut feelings, even if they don't always make logical sense. Look for patterns. Over time, you might notice that your intuition is stronger in certain areas. Maybe you're particularly intuitive about people or about future events. Remember, having a strong intuition doesn't necessarily mean you're always right. It's a tool, not a superpower. It's still important to use your logical thinking and to gather information when making important decisions. Also, while a strong intuition can be seen as a sign of an old soul or past life experiences, it's not proof of reincarnation. Many people who don't believe in past lives still experience strong intuition. What matters is how you use this gift in your current life to make better decisions and connect more deeply with yourself and others. Have you ever been called an old soul? Do you sometimes feel like you don't quite fit in with people your own age? This feeling of being older than your years is another potential sign that you might be a reincarnated soul. When we talk about feeling old in a young body, we're not talking about physical aches and pains. We're talking about a mental and emotional maturity that seems beyond your years. It's a sense of wisdom or understanding that doesn't quite match up with your life experience. People who believe in reincarnation think this old soul feeling might come from the accumulated experiences of many past lives. Even if you don't consciously remember these lives, the wisdom and lessons learned might still be a part of who you are. Mature outlook. You might find that you have a more mature perspective on life than your peers. You might be less interested in trivial matters and more focused on deeper, more meaningful aspects of life. Wise beyond your years. People might often come to you for advice, even those who are older than you. You seem to have insights that surpass your apparent life experience. Feeling out of place. You might feel like you don't quite fit in with people your own age. Their interests and concerns might seem shallow or unimportant to you. Old-fashioned tastes. You might be drawn to things from the past. Old music, vintage clothing, or historical periods. It's as if you're more comfortable with the old than the new. Sense of déjà vu about life itself. You might have a feeling that you've done this all before. Life's challenges and joys might feel familiar, even if you're experiencing them for the first time in this life. Tired of the world. Sometimes, feeling like an old soul can come with a sense of world weariness. You might feel like you've seen it all before and long for something more. One interesting story is about a young girl who, from a very early age, showed an unusual interest in an understanding of complex philosophical ideas. Her parents were amazed at how she could discuss concepts of life and death with a calmness and depth that seemed impossible for her age. Some people saw this as a sign that she was an old soul, carrying wisdom from many past lives. Another example is of a teenager who always felt more comfortable around older people. He found he could easily converse with adults about history, politics, and life experiences in a way that surprised everyone. His peers often found him strange or boring, but older folks were drawn to his seemingly ageless wisdom. Embrace your uniqueness. Being an old soul can sometimes feel isolating, but it's also a gift. Your mature perspective can be a valuable asset in many situations. Find your tribe. Look for people who appreciate your depth and wisdom. They might not always be in your age group, and that's okay. Balance old and new. While your old soul might be drawn to the past, remember to engage with the present too. There's always something new to learn and experience. Use your wisdom. Your mature outlook can be a great help to others. Consider mentoring or finding ways to share your insights. Take care of yourself. Sometimes, feeling older than your years can be tiring. Make sure to take time for play and lightheartedness too. It's important to note that feeling like an old soul doesn't necessarily mean you're a reincarnated being. Some people are naturally more mature or introspective. Life experiences, even in this lifetime, can also lead to wisdom beyond your years. Whether it's due to past lives or just your unique personality, being an old soul can be both a challenge and a blessing. The key is to embrace this part of yourself while still fully engaging with your current life and the world around you. Have you ever picked up a new skill with surprising ease? Or found yourself knowing things you never learned? These unexplained abilities or bits of knowledge could be another sign that you're a reincarnated soul. When we talk about unexplained skills or knowledge, we're referring to abilities or information that you seem to have without any clear source in your current life. It's as if you're tapping into a well of experience that goes beyond what you've learned in this lifetime. People who believe in reincarnation think these unexpected talents or knowledge might be carried over from past lives. The idea is that even if your conscious mind doesn't remember your previous existences, your soul retains the skills and information you've gathered over many lifetimes. Here are some examples of unexplained skills or knowledge that people have linked to past lives. Language abilities. You might find yourself understanding or even speaking words in a language you've never studied. Some people report feeling a deep connection to a foreign language for no apparent reason. Artistic or musical talent. Maybe you picked up an instrument for the first time and found you could play it with unusual ease. Or perhaps you have a natural talent for a particular art form that you've never been trained in. Technical or scientific knowledge. Some people report having detailed knowledge about historical technologies or scientific concepts that they've never studied. Cultural familiarity. You might feel deeply connected to or knowledgeable about a culture that's not your own, even if you've never been exposed to it in this life. Survival skills. In certain situations, you might find yourself knowing exactly what to do, even if you've never been in that situation before. One fascinating story is about a young boy who, from a very early age, showed an incredible talent for playing the piano. Without any lessons, He could sit down at the keyboard and play complex pieces. His parents were amazed, especially since there were no musicians in the family. Some people saw this as a sign that the boy might have been a skilled pianist in a past life. Another example is of a woman who always felt drawn to ancient Egypt. She found she could easily understand hieroglyphics, even though she had never studied them. Later in life, when she visited Egypt, she felt an overwhelming sense of familiarity, as if she was returning home. If you think you might have unexplained skills or knowledge, here are some things to consider. Explore your talents. If you find yourself drawn to a particular skill or area of knowledge, take the time to explore it further. You might uncover a hidden passion or talent. Keep an open mind. While these abilities might be linked to past lives, they could also be the result of forgotten experiences in this life or natural aptitude. Stay open to all possibilities. Document your experiences. Keep a journal of any unexplained skills or knowledge you encounter. Over time, you might start to see patterns or connections. Use your gifts. Whether these abilities come from past lives or not, they're a part of who you are now. Find ways to use and develop these skills in your current life. Share with others. Your unexplained abilities might be helpful to others. Don't be afraid to share your knowledge or skills when appropriate. It's important to remember that having unexplained skills or knowledge doesn't necessarily prove the existence of past lives. Our brains are capable of absorbing and processing information in ways we don't always consciously recognize. Sometimes, what seems like unexplained knowledge might be the result of forgotten experiences or subconscious learning. However, for many people, these unexplained abilities add an element of mystery and wonder to life. They open up the possibility that we are more than just our current experiences, that we might be carrying wisdom and talents from many lifetimes. Have you ever felt an unexplainable pull towards a particular culture or historical era? A fascination so strong it feels like more than just casual interest? This deep connection to specific times or places from the past could be another sign that you're a reincarnated soul. When we talk about a strong attraction to certain cultures or time periods, we're not just referring to a passing interest in history. We're talking about a profound, almost nostalgic connection to a time or place you've never experienced in this life. It's as if a part of you recognizes something familiar in that foreign culture or distant time. People who believe in reincarnation think this strong attraction might be a remnant of a past life. The idea is that your soul remembers living in that time or place, even if your conscious mind doesn't. This memory manifests as a deep fascination or sense of belonging to that culture or era. Fascination with a specific historical period. You might find yourself drawn to books, movies, or documentaries about a particular era. More than just finding it interesting, you feel a personal connection to that time. Unexplained cultural affinity. You might feel deeply connected to a culture that's not your own. You might easily understand or adopt its customs, even without formal education about it. Déjà vu in foreign places. When visiting a place for the first time, you might experience a strong sense of familiarity, as if you're returning to a place you once knew well. Dreams about other times and places. You might have vivid, recurring dreams set in a particular historical period or culture. Emotional reactions to historical events. You might find yourself having strong emotional responses to certain historical events or places beyond what you'd expect from just learning about them. One interesting story is about a man who had always felt drawn to ancient Japan. He loved everything about the culture, the language, the customs, the art. When he finally visited Japan, he found he could navigate the traditional customs with ease, as if he'd done it all before. He felt more at home there than he ever had in his native country. Another example is of a woman who had a lifelong fascination with the Victorian era. She collected Victorian-era clothing and furniture and felt most comfortable in environments that mimicked that time period. She often said she felt she had been born in the wrong century. If you think you might have a strong attraction to a certain culture or time period, here are some things you might want to explore. Learn more. Dive deep into studying the culture or time period you're drawn to. You might uncover more connections or find explanations for your feelings. Visit if possible. If you're drawn to a particular place, try to visit if you can. Pay attention to how you feel when you're there. Explore through art. Try expressing your connection through art, writing, or music. This can be a powerful way to explore your feelings. Connect with others. Look for groups or communities of people who share your interest. You might find others who have similar unexplained attractions. Consider past life regression. Some people find past life regression therapy helpful in exploring these feelings. Just be sure to approach this with an open but critical mind. It's important to note that a strong attraction to a culture or time period doesn't necessarily mean you lived a past life there. Our interest can be shaped by many factors: books we've read, movies we've seen, stories we've heard. Sometimes, we're drawn to times or places that seem to embody qualities we admire or long for in our current lives. Whether it's a sign of a past life or simply a part of your unique interests and personality, this attraction is a part of who you are. It can enrich your life, broaden your perspective, and connect you with people and ideas from around the world and across time. As we've explored these 8 signs of being a reincarnated soul, you might have found yourself nodding along, recognizing some of these experiences in your own life. Or maybe you're still skeptical, wondering if there could be other explanations for these phenomena. Wherever you find yourself, it's important to remember that the concept of reincarnation, like many spiritual beliefs, is deeply personal and often beyond the realm of scientific proof. These signs, from déjà vu experiences and unexplained fears, to recurring dreams and unusual birthmarks, from strong intuition and feeling like an old soul, to unexplained skills and attractions to certain cultures, they all point to the possibility that our current life might be just one chapter in a much longer story. They suggest that our souls might carry memories, wisdom, and experiences from past lives, influencing who we are and how we interact with the world today. But whether or not you believe in reincarnation, exploring these ideas can be a valuable journey of self-discovery. Paying attention to your intuition, exploring your unexplained fears or talents, delving into the cultures and time periods that fascinate you. All of these can lead to greater self-understanding and personal growth. If you've recognized many of these signs in yourself, you might want to explore the concept of reincarnation further. There are many books, workshops, and even therapists who specialize in past life exploration. Just remember to approach these with an open but critical mind. On the other hand, if you're skeptical about reincarnation, that's okay too. Many of these experiences can have explanations within the context of this single lifetime. The important thing is to remain curious about yourself and your experiences, always seeking to understand more about who you are and why you feel the way you do. Regardless of whether we've lived before or not, what matters most is how we live now. Use the insights you've gained from exploring these ideas to enrich your current life. Let your intuition guide you, explore your talents, face your fears, and embrace the unique perspective you bring to the world. In the end, the mystery of reincarnation reminds us of the vastness of human experience and the depth of our inner worlds. It encourages us to look beyond the surface, to consider that there might be more to our existence than what we can immediately see or understand. And in doing so, it opens us up to a sense of wonder and possibility about our place in the universe. So, whether you believe you're a reincarnated soul or not, embrace the mystery of your existence. Cherish your unique experiences, pursue your passions, and live this life fully and authentically. After all, if we do live many lives, this one is just as important as any other. And if we don't, then it's all the more precious for being our one and only chance to experience the miracle of existence.